Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
All the time.
This is our first official episode back since you've had your kid. Haven't really had time for you to consume much of anything, and so it's kind of pointless to record.
It's been harder than I thought. I found pockets of time to play a video game, so I'm working my way through that. Whereas before I had a kid, I was like, oh, I can spend 6 hours or 8 hours plus. It's my day off. I have nothing to do. I can breeze through it. Now it's like I'm doing 2 hour chunks here and there, which is still nice. But finding the time to like leave the house to see a movie has been nearly impossible because I don't want to, leave my wife at home and just be like, all right, bye, honey. Yeah. Enjoy raising our child while I go do the thing I always do.
So if anyone's like looking at timelines and release schedules, this should be a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 / Fast X episode. It's not. Steve still has not been able to see either of them, and that's fine.
I'm considering calling one of my sisters and be like, hey, I need you to come over and just watch my kid for 4 hours.
4 hours.
I just need to bang these 2 movies out, and then
okay, well, you're gonna need like 6 hours with trailers and everything. They're both like 2:30.
Hopefully I can line one up where it's like this one's ending as this one's maybe 2 minutes in. I can miss the first.
Yeah, that's true.
Of like the fast movies, I can go in a little late. And I'm sure I'll figure it out.
You make sure she knows this is the new schedule. Once a week, I'm going to need you to cover for a few hours because I have a podcast to do, and otherwise Ben's going to get fussy.
We've said we said it before. Priorities. Podcast. My child.
Everything else is also tied for number 2. Is what you said.
Movies. Podcast.
Yes.
Because the podcast hinders on those movies. So priority 1 is watching the thing. Priority 2 is recording.
Damn, your baby moved from 2 to 3 in the course of a week or 2. Wow. Interesting.
If he keeps this up, it's gonna get much lower.
Yeah, we tried to have him on the show, but he does not contribute. So let's get a good old classic roll going.
Let's do it.
All right, Steve.
You know what? I'm gonna try something crazy. I'm gonna go left hand.
Oh, okay. I'll lefty it as well.
All right. Let's see what happens. All right, here we go. 16.
Okay, not terrible.
Not bad.
Not terrible. Okay, and
is that a
7?
1?
It's a 1.
Ooh.
Again.
Oh, man.
What the fuck? That's like my 3rd one of the year. That's that will not do. Well, we'll see. At the end of this podcast, we'll see. Does this episode total an 18 out of 40? You be the judge. And since we don't have a true main topic, there's a good chance, because what do you end on, of all this random garbage that I have? I've watched a lot, but some things I don't really want to talk about yet, like take Unicorn, Warriors Eternal, I think it's called. It's the new Genndy Tartakovsky show.
It's called what?
It's called Unicorn, Warriors Eternal.
Okay. And I have not even heard of it.
It's on HBO Max. It's about 4 episodes out. The most basic thing is there's these 3 immortal warriors, and they have to stop the ultimate evil. In every generation, they will possess the body of someone from there and destroy evil. Now they're in like fictional 1930s London airships, semi-steampunk.
Okay.
A little bit, but it kind of has like that Cuphead rubber hose animation. I mean, they're not all standing there bouncing to the rhythm, but they have like the bigger eyes. It's very Betty Boop-ish, but still has really good action and some, there was like a zombie elephant in an episode, but it's not like Primal where it's blood and guts. It's very story driven and character based, and
it's sure that had the zombie brontosaurus
elephant, zombie elephant.
Well,
oh, you were talking about... Oh, yeah, that's true.
Primal,
that's true, yeah.
Kind of retreading the same well there.
But so far, pretty good. But, spend 3 minutes on that. I don't want to talk about that. I spend some time on things I don't want to... Because it's not over yet. I want to start off kind of big.
Okay. Let's go big. That's what the people are here for, Ben. Bring it on.
So this movie, it's on Netflix. It's called Soft and Quiet. Have you heard of it?
No, but it sounds like the title of my sex tape. So sorry.
Oh, your poor wife. You need to communicate during, otherwise, how do
Well,
you know
then
what
it
she
wouldn't be
wants?
quiet then.
That's true. Okay. So I heard about this movie on TikTok, and all I was told was there is an elementary school teacher who has a meeting with a bunch of women, and then it gets fucking wild, and you don't know where it goes after that. So I was immediately interested. Like, I'm not going to watch trailers. I'm not going to read synopsis. I don't want to know what this is about. I'm going to go in blind. So with just that description, I thought it was going to become like a school shooter thing.
Mhm.
So with that information, Steve, what's Soft and Quiet about? Just give me 10 words.
Okay, and so the whole premise from the basis is elementary school teacher has a meeting with a bunch of women. That's it, correct? Okay.
Yeah, it's like 6 total.
Uh, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Is it all parents? Is it parents and teachers? Or
They're all parents. She's the only teacher. Or
oh,
no, no, I'm sorry. They're all women. Some are parents. None are teachers.
okay. So my initial thought would be that it's a uh, child touching kind of
Okay. Okay.
scenario, some pedophilia going on. But since you're kind of saying, look how crazy and wild it gets, I'm gonna guess it's more of a, uh, it's more of a, they're all he's super hot, and they're all trying to get with him in order to do something supernatural.
No. And the teacher's a woman. Sexist.
I thought you said it was. I'm
No,
sorry.
I said it was an elementary school teacher who meets with a bunch of women. That's all I said. So it's hard for me to recommend this because I don't think this is for most people. The first half hour is pretty amazing. Like, my jaw was on the floor. Like, the audacity that someone would write this shit and film it and put it in a movie, and these actors take it seriously. Like, it's all things that you may have heard of before, but to hear the things said is astonishing. Then, so after that first half hour,
Mhm.
I was like, where the fuck does this movie go?
There's, I'm gonna guess like 90 some minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
short and sweet. And so I assumed some things, and I thought, okay, this could be an interesting thing, and it doesn't go that way. Once you see the path it's going, I kind of knew
Mm.
what was up, and I was a little disappointed because it gets a little from 0 to 100. These characters really ramp up. But the thing is, I almost don't want to tell you what it's about. It almost has to be kind of experienced, and I feel conflicted because I don't want to recommend this movie because of how vile it is.
Mm. So is it what's that movie? Is it Terrifier vile, or is it just vile in terms of just the ideas that were thrown out?
It's more ideologies. Okay,
Okay.
so it's not. I mean, it has some violence to it, but it's not Terrifier. It's not sawing a woman in half from ass crack to head.
Okay.
So uh, I almost like I don't want to say what it's about because once you kind of know, it would take away any sort of shocking effect.
Okay.
But also, since you have very little time to watch certain movies, this is not one I think you and your wife would be happy sitting down to watch.
Well, just from your basic pitch of what you're trying to say right now, I
Yeah.
guarantee it's not something she'd be into, especially being an elementary school
Uh
teacher
huh.
herself.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, you had me intrigued,
So
but
I almost want
but
to.
by saying you're basically saying it's not good,
Well, okay, because
but
I gave it a
it's
C. No, I gave it a B minus because I think it does exactly what it set out to do. The director and writer, she knows exactly what she's doing, and she is fanning the flame and getting you riled up. So, oh, and this you'll love. It's a oneer. It's all shot like one take.
oh,
That, yeah.
damn it.
There's some obvious ones.
Sure.
People are walking upstairs and the camera gets a little too close to someone's back and then
Uh-huh.
comes back out and the light's a little different. But there was a lot of times I didn't notice it. It's pretty good. The problem that makes you really notice those sorts of things is the acting. You'll have a character who's like screaming and so angry and pissed off, and then there'll be a hidden cut somewhere. When they come back to that character, they're kind of meek and mild, and they totally changed everything. And since a lot of these are one takes, that it has a little bit of an improvised feel. So I can tell, well, these takes matched up the best, but these two performances don't quite match
Mhm.
up. So you start noticing a little bit of the flaws. I told my roommate about it and explained it pretty much how I did, and she was going off. She had so many ideas of what it could possibly be. She was a lot closer than you, so she put it on just to kind of see if it would irk her. And after the first half hour, she was hooked and had to watch it. So I watched this awful movie or this like disgusting movie two times within like 3 days. I found it a bit funnier the second time. Some of
Okay.
the extremeness almost became comedic.
So, can I ask another question?
Sure.
Can I ask where this is set?
Modern times. That first half hour is in a church. That's where the meeting's taking
Well,
place.
no, I mean like a state.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Some
just
place that has woods or in a lake. It's a neighborhood.
okay.
it's not important to the story.
All right.
I think they may
I
say
wasn't
it.
sure if it's leading to a base on. Oh, it happens to take place on January 6th. So it's like, oh, okay.
So, do you want to know what this movie's about? I don't want to spend too much time on it if you are willing to give it a shot.
Pause.
Okay.
I'm not looking at. Well,
You can't read the synopsis. You
I'm
can't
not
read
even gonna look at the synopsis. But
what the actors.
can I look at the poster?
No. Well, no, actually, yes, you can. It's just two people's faces screaming at each other. But it's called Soft and Quiet. I don't get
Why are
it.
they yelling?
But there is like a major
No, that's an
image.
awful poster.
There's a big like the
Bloomhouse.
reveal. Yeah, it's a Blumhouse thing. Jason Blum said he saw it and it stuck with him for so long he had to buy it. So stop looking at
I'm not
stuff because
looking.
there's one image of
Schmigadoon.
a pie that kind of like gives away the ghost, and that's kind of been one of its big images of it. So,
You know
uh,
what? Here's what I'll do. A lot of times in my life, when for myself or me and my wife, we can't decide on something. It's like, well, should we do this or this? I like to flip a coin. So I'll let the fates decide. Because the poster had two heads on it, I'll
mm-hmm.
say heads. I watch it.
Okay,
Tails. I don't.
okay.
And
With her or in general? Like, are you
no,
gonna flip it
I'll probably
now?
I'll watch it by myself.
Okay, okay.
Uh, and we'll know it's legit because you guys will be able to hear it. Echo. Flip a coin.
Okay. Tails.
I'm not gonna watch
You're
it.
not gonna watch it.
So tell me all about it.
Okay. Well,
All right, spoiler alerts at this point of
yes.
the show.
If you want to see this movie, just stop listening and come back. Skip like 5 minutes because I bet whatever we talk about next isn't that important. So pretty much, this woman, she has a couple of friends and had them gather friends, and it's this meeting of women who are white supremacists,
Okay.
and they are kind of hidden in plain sight. One went to jail, one's a mother. They all just seem like very normal people. She's an elementary school teacher, and it starts off with her kind of eyeballing this Hispanic cleaning lady, and she goes to mop up, and she's telling one of the students like, "You need to go in and tell her to not do that. She could have mopped where you were walking, and you could have slipped and fell where she was cleaning." So you need to go stand up for yourself. And it's just because she's indoctrinating young kids into this ideology. So she goes to this meeting, the pie, it's got a swastika on it. They've all brought their friends to just kind of vent. And this is their first meeting, and they want to just kind of let everybody know who they are. And one lady's not happy because this brown girl got the promotion and she didn't. And then one's a store owner, and like, why do they got to be so loud when they come inside? And everybody has their gripes. And this one lady comes in and like, well, I wasn't sure if I was in the right company and stuff, but Well, my granddaddy, he was one of the founders of the KKK in Valentine, Nebraska, and I've been a proud member the whole time. So, like, you have the extremes. You have the
Right.
people who went to prison and they had to find a sense of community and they got indoctrinated there, and some who are just upset because this one other person did some, got the promotion over
Sure.
her. So, you have them all, and they are just spitting the most disgusting rhetoric you've ever heard. And it's all things like if you look at message boards or watch Fox News, it's all stuff that has been said. And the woman who wrote and directed this, it was after. Do you remember the Central Park Karen? Just this woman who
Yeah,
called
yeah,
the
yeah.
cops on this black guy because he was a black guy.
Right.
So she saw that and went like, "That's a story. How can people like this exist?" And just started deep diving and learning all about it. So they eventually go and they have some drinks, and this teacher, her brother was sent to jail because he raped this Asian woman, and her sister walk into the store where they're at, and so there's this conflict, and they get up in each other's face. So all the women are like, we need to go teach her a lesson. So once you get to that point, like, oh, that's what it's going to be about. And it's funny because her husband shows up, and he seems like a typical racist redneck, but he's like the only one who has a calm, level head, and like, we can't do this. This is a fucking felony. You guys are going to go to jail. This is a bad idea. But they're all like, oh, you want your wife to look at you like a fucking F word, and you're such a pussy, and yada yada, and he gets like guilted into it. So they go to the house and they attack them. They accidentally kill the younger sister because she's allergic with peanuts, and they stuffed a bunch of peanuts in her mouth. And then they're like, fuck, we've taken it too far. We got to make it look like a home invasion and a rape. And so they brutalize this other one. And then they, kill her. They suffocate her and stuff her in a bag, clean up the place, and drop her into the lake. And they go away. And the very last shot is she didn't quite die. She got out of the bag, and they didn't suffocate her well
Mm.
enough. So it ends with her just breaching the water. So it's really frustrating because you don't know if these women ever get their comeuppance. You would think she survived,
Right.
something's going to happen, but who knows? The whole thing is really fucking infuriating because they're just the most awful, vile human beings on screen, and it's scary because there's people out there like that, and they're just so casual with their racism because they're so comfortable
Mm.
around each other. It just makes it that much sicker. Uh, the main woman, she's pretty good, but some of the acting with everybody else is a little uneven. I didn't recognize any of the actors except you remember in Orange Is the New Black, Crazy Eyes,
Yeah.
Suzanne, how she had that girlfriend. She had like a gap in her teeth and kind of bleach blonde hair, and she was also a little bit crazy, and they just had this crazy weird romance.
Yeah, I mean, I
It,
remember that occurring. I don't remember what she looks
okay,
like
well,
though.
she's the only one in the movie that
Okay.
like I
And
recognize.
I wonder if, and it could just be the actors themselves, or if it's in terms of the quality of acting, if it's just having like struggling to do the role because of how awful it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you always hear those stories about like Leo, one of the greatest actors of all time,
Mm-hmm.
does Django Unchained, and is like, hey man, I can't say
Yeah.
this shit, and
Yep.
then they're like, nah man, just say it,
Yeah.
it's fine, you're Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm sure
But to
having
like other
the
people who this is this gonna like. I hope
is
this doesn't be my breakout role as
yeah,
like the crazy racist
or
lady.
and all of them seem to have pretty big IMDb, so I don't think they're
Oh,
too
okay,
worried. This, I think, if
I don't know who's
anything,
in it,
is
so
a standout of look how good I am at being convincing of being an absolute piece of shit, and having a woman writer director who is a person of color as well probably helps.
okay.
You know, so yeah, it's a hard recommend because it does a lot of good things and it's made well. It's just kind of hard to stomach.
Mm.
Yeah, if that stuff affects you, some people didn't like Guardians 3 because there was some animal cruelty, and that was enough to turn them off. If racial things don't bother you, then maybe this
Then
is your
you're
cup
the
of tea.
problem.
Yeah, but yeah, soft and quiet. Oh, and then me and my roommate, we were talking about how we want to see a sequel called Hard and Loud, and it's the woman who survived same night going and murdering all these women in their sleep one after another. Like,
That's awesome.
yep, do the same thing, one take, one night. Like, you killed my sister, your brother raped me, then you raped me on my sister's dead body, then you suffocated me, then you threw me in a lake. I'm gonna murder you, and I'm gonna make sure like I did it, and just have her bang through this small town and murder these girls.
which would be awesome. But I feel the I don't know if it would be the twist or the tragedy of it all is uh, her doing that would launch the Fox News of just Asian woman
Yes,
murders. This is a giant hate
yeah,
crime
because
against white people, and
where's the
like,
evidence?
yeah,
And
I
yeah,
got my revenge, but at what
mhm.
cost? I think that could be a fun idea.
Sure, yeah.
Although tragic.
Yep,
So
but
anyway, moving on.
the whole thing was, but yeah, that's enough on that movie. I'm gonna pass it to you. What's something you got?
Uh, so, because of my limited time, I have been playing Hogwarts Legacy. I have not beaten it.
Transphobe.
No. And I don't know if this was done to. If I assume it was done to sort of spite J.K. Rowling, or at least appease some of the
Mm-hmm.
fans. There is a trans character in it,
Yeah.
part of the storyline,
Yeah, I
and
guess she wasn't allowed to work on the storyline part of the game. Like she
I
was kind
didn't.
of separated from the making of it. Whereas any sort of movies, TV shows, she has to be involved. I think she just wasn't involved in the game.
Oh, well, I didn't do any research in that regard. But if you're a Harry Potter fan, you're gonna love it. It's uh, got everything. The combat's really fun. A bunch of different spells. You can kind of do a good campaign and a bad campaign.
Oh.
Uh, you could just be sorted into your different houses.
So can I be in the like one of the good guy houses and then do a bunch of fucked up stuff and they kick me out of the house and then I have to go to the bad guy house?
No, well, I think you can be in a good guy house and learn, the killing curse and do
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. But a lot of the dialogue trees are: do you want to say something nice, or do you want to ask for money, and then that kind of thing.
I saw a TikTok and it was like, this is how all of BuzzFeed's house quizzes are. Like, you go to order coffee. Do you A, courageously hand the money and courageously grab the cup? Or do you B, devilishly grab the coffee from them? And then C is you normally grab from them, or D, books. And that's what I hate about some of those, tree things, or especially like, oh, what sort of X-Men character are you? And like, would you rather have flight or bone claws that pop out of your hand? Like, I wonder who I'm going to be sorted as. Anywho, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that egregious. When you get to be sorted into your house, they do ask you, I think, 3 questions, and you can kind of see where each one's going. But even if you can get sorted, but before you officially get sorted in the game, you can go. You can choose not to,
Yeah,
because
this
part
is
of
your game. You can do what you
well,
want.
yeah, but also part of the Harry Potter lore is you can say to the Sorting Hat, "This is where I want to go," and he'll take that
Mm-hmm.
into account. So it's kind of like you find out where you would go, but you can
Mm-hmm.
be wherever you
So
want.
where did you say you were from?
So I answered it all honestly, and I went to Ravenclaw.
Okay,
I
that's.
didn't.
I feel like the one I'd want to be in
I Most people I've talked to, I think, are just Ravenclaw
because we're
people.
just normies.
Yeah, because most people aren't these brave, heroic
Yeah.
characters. Most people don't want to be an asshole, like,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not gonna do the Slytherin thing. Some people love Slytherin, so they're just gonna go Slytherin
Yeah.
anyway. But nobody wants to be Hufflepuff for some reason.
I okay, sorry to derail again,
No,
but
no, no.
my when I first started this job I'm at 6 years ago, my boss and one of my coworkers like, you got to tell us what sort of house you're in. We need to know. And so go on to this and tell us what your Patronus is and how big your wand is. It was very it was kind of like embarrassing for them to be like these grown men and just like demanding this of me. And so I was put into Slytherin. And I figured it would be Ravenclaw, but I wanted Hufflepuff just because I knew that's like the dumb one. And I just imagined like this big Clefairy or Chansey Pokemon as like our, as our mascot. And it just seemed like the one,
It's a badger.
no one's going to ask you to do anything. You just get to like chill. Uh, so yeah, I got Slytherin, and my Patronus was like a fish. I was like, I hate snakes. I don't like fish. Is this really me?
Well, you don't have to. You don't get a snake when you start school.
I know, but I don't want it to represent me. That's not who I am. I'm not, as a personality, I'm not a snake.
Yeah, I mean, me knowing you, you're either Raven. No, not that this fucking matters, but like Ravenclaw is known as kind of the smart, creative, witty ones, or whatever, and Slytherins are the sly, crafty ones, and whatnot. So
Who's got the hottest babes?
uh, honestly, probably Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's just a guess. I honestly have no idea.
Talking
They're
about
children, all right. But yeah, your know-it-allism leads me to believe you're Ravenclaw, but you're also generic. I hate so many things.
Yeah.
It's very
Oh,
Slytherin.
you paint a beautiful picture of me,
Yeah,
Steve.
you're the perfect combo of a know-it-all asshole. Anywho, what were we talking about?
There's a
Oh,
game you're
there's a
playing.
game. Yeah, I am enjoying it. I think the facial animations are a little lacking. Everyone's kind of dead-eyed.
Yeah.
It's not The Last of Us where everything was motion captured. Plus, I mean, there's so many characters,
Yeah.
and you can run into probably 100 different kids in school and talk to them, and they're like, "Hey, can you grab this thing for me?"
Yeah. Can you collect 3 flowers for me?
Yeah, there's probably I think like over 100 side
Yeah.
quest missions.
So they got 10 eyes, 10 nose, 10 lips, and then they just mix them up.
Pretty
Change
much,
the
yeah.
color of the hair.
And so other than those that initial sorting where you kind of get here's 4 different options.
Mhm.
Every piece of dialogue within the game is pretty much here's 2 options. You can kind of be nice or kind of be more of a dick about it. That's about it.
Okay.
And most of the time I always pick nice. And yeah, if you ever wanted to be a wizard in the wizarding world and go to Hogwarts, it will fulfill all of your dreams, and you get to ride a broom and you get to travel. It's a pretty big open world.
But no Quidditch, right?
No Quidditch in this game.
That's weird. I figured they couldn't get the flying down, so they didn't do it. But then I saw you couldn't fly on a broom.
Yeah. My guess is they either A, ran out of money, B, couldn't quite get it all the way, or C, they wanted to save something for the second game.
Yeah, that's probably
Because
more
I just
likely.
figured either save for the second game or release a separate game called it'll be their Mario Kart, but it'll be
Mhm.
just a Quidditch game. But I just figured, oh, that's your massive like online multiplayer.
Yeah.
Game, is you and I don't know how many people are on a Quidditch team. You and your 5 friends. You do like an Overwatch thing or
Yeah.
Call of Duty, whatever.
Fortnite.
Yeah, you just team up and then you just play a game of Quidditch against a random
Sure.
group of people.
Yeah.
And I just figured that'd be super fun, but it looks way cool in the movies versus a game might not be
Sure.
as
Yeah.
dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Especially because isn't there a rule like if you catch the little golden thing, the game's over because you win 1,000,000 points or something?
Yeah.
And like, how do you work that into the game and make it attainable, but not something that happens every match? You know, it's tough, but
Right. I'm sure there's ways, and I'm sure they're working on it right now and pitching it. The other thing, I don't really know what's going on with the story. You're a character who comes at like he doesn't start. You don't start Hogwarts on your first year. You start as a 5th year.
oh, that
And
seems weird.
yeah, I think it's just a way of we can't really put a 10-year-old in all this danger.
Sure.
We can make you 16
Okay.
or whatever it is. So it's a little bit more graspable in terms of a creative character versus a small child.
Okay.
But so that's kind of weird, and you just have this ability to see ancient magic, and you have to unlock some conspiracy within Hogwarts where other dastardly creatures may be trying to acquire this ancient magic for some reason. I think there's a guy named Ranrock who's this goblin who's kind of leading a goblin uprising, but I don't really know why. I guess
Aren't they slaves?
No, that's house elves.
Oh, I thought they were like personal slaves, but then the goblins were a slave to the world of magic.
No.
Oh.
I mean, goblins. They run the bank.
Okay.
The bank of the wizards. They're functioning people, and essentially in that world, they have their own, but they have their own culture. And I think goblins and humans don't get along perfectly, but plenty of people can have perfectly good relationship with goblins. But Ranrock, I think he's essentially, I'm a goblin supremacist, and these wizards have been oppressing us, and now's our time.
So he's the hero of the story.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's teaming up with another shady wizard guy, and they're doing something. But I keep getting sidetracked by all these other side missions, and I kind of forget what happens in the story.
Yeah.
Which is great that there's so much to do, and the game's beautiful. Everything looks great, and it's so cool. It's like seeing something from a movie that now I'm in
Mm-hmm.
is really, really neat. But like I said, I don't know what's going on. But once I beat it, I'll give you guys an update.
Okay.
But I'm enjoying it. If you like Harry Potter, you'll love it. You don't need to know anything about Harry Potter to sort of jump in
Mm-hmm.
because it has no real connection to that world because this takes place 60 years, 100 years. I forget the number, but it's long before Harry Potter's even
Okay.
born. I think it's before Voldemort's born.
Okay.
Dumbledore.
Oh, so is
You
it
have
like the 1900s?
well, Harry Potter took place in the 1900s. This might be the 1800s. You don't see the human world. You don't hear about cars or anything.
Huh. Okay, because I figured since Voldemort was around for World War II, right? Or no, that was Dumbledore, right? In the Fantastic Beasts movies, isn't it like World War II is coming and Johnny Depp's like gay wizard Hitler?
More or less. It's been so long since I saw the first one. I forget everything that happened in it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. It's a prequel.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. I will not be borrowing that from you.
fair enough.
I got two comics for you though.
Cool.
I had a gift card for Amazon, and it was $25, burning a hole in my pocket. I have seen. I was suggested on another podcast. There's a guy named Nick Mason. He's on the Weekly Planet. He's a big comic book guy. He always has weird suggestions, and every time he has one, I find it on Amazon, throw it on my wish list, and I'm like, I'll check it out. There's like one called Spencer and Locke I wanted to get, and it's like a what if Calvin and Hobbes was real, but he grew up and became like a gritty noir detective, and he still has his imaginary friend.
Awesome.
So I wanted to get that, but it was like I guess out of print, so I couldn't get that. So
My
I got
favorite character Calvin ever did was Tracer Bullet, his noir character, and
Yeah.
just all of his funny noir lines I really, really enjoyed. Anyway,
So I got two. First one is called Maniac of New York. Is the first 4 or 5 issues. It's what if Jason showed up in New York and we kind of accepted him as he's just here, so be on the lookout. He appears on New Year's Eve, like 2016, and kills like 84 people in Times Square. Just goes nuts. And then disappears. And then starts showing up a couple weeks later, kills a bunch of people on a train. No one can stop him. Is he hiding in the sewers? Is he immortal god? Nobody knows anything about this guy. He just shows up and murders. So there's news reports going like there was a sighting, everybody stay inside. It's not like there's lockdowns of the city if he's sighted. It's just kind of one of those like, oh, there's a rabid dog out there, so just be careful if you're in this vicinity.
right.
So there is like a new the mayor's assistant who's in charge of hunting down Maniac Harry, and he looks kind of like Jason. He has a white mask with some red markings on it. Has a like a aviator kind of coat with a furry collar and a big machete thing with spikes on it. It's pretty cool, and all the art is kind of watercolor. It's interesting looking.
Nice.
And then there's a grizzled cop. She narked on someone who did a fucked up thing, so everybody hates her. So she's drinking now, and these two women have to team up and kind of reinvigorate the Maniac Harry squad because people really kind of don't give a shit. It's like, well, that happened across town. It's not going to affect me. Nobody ever believes Maniac Harry's going to get them, but he gets a lot of people. So it's only the first few issues, and it's a little basic in the writing when it's just like you're not going to find your answers at the bottom of that bottle. Like, well, if I let go of this bottle, it's the only thing holding me down from going over the edge. It's just real terrible writing, but it's a great concept and a beautiful looking comic. Maybe not your cup of tea, but this next one, right up your alley.
Definitely my cup of tea.
I just described it to our friend Nick, and he bought the first 2 volumes immediately.
Oh.
So I just finished this one today. It's called Die, as in dice, like a single die. And it's about 6 kids. They are getting together for one's 16th birthday. It's 1991. And assortment of friends, and the popular annoying smart girl, and then the black kid who's the only black kid in town, and he has all this self-hate, and the kind of frat bro-y sort of makes a lot of jokes, won't accept reality. Lots of cast of characters. Anyhow, so they play this, and each of them get their own die. Like you get the only 4-sided, you get the 8-sided, you get the 10-sided. And the dungeon master gets the 20-sided, and then they get sucked into this game,
Jumanji style.
Jumanji style. Then 2 years later, they appear out of nowhere. Instead of 6 of them, there's only 5, and one of the girls has lost an arm. And they everybody asks them what happened.
Have they aged 2 years? Or
They have aged 2 years.
Okay.
And they ask them what happened, and none of them can explain it. They just like physically can't say what happened. Now it's 25 years later. They've all grown up. Some have moved on and have been kind of successful selling fantasy video games, and others moved away and had kids and lives. But they're all coming together because it's the kid's birthday again, and he gets in the mail the 20-sided die, because the one that had the 20-sided die, his best friend, he's the one that never came back. So they all get together and say, what do we do? Do we go to the cops or what? And then they get sucked back in. So now it's 25 years later. They're in this world, and it's not like normal D&D. There's like the main dude in the game. He plays as a woman, and her power is she can affect your emotions in any way. And then the black guy who has emotional problems, his thing is he can use his emotions to create metal and use magic and stuff. So like she'll piss him off, and then he's an unstoppable killing machine.
Awesome.
But he hates it because he's out of control of his emotions. And then there's one girl who is, it looks like she came out of an anime. She's more cybernetic and has a helmet and can, the one that lost her arm. Now she has like a robot arm, and she uses gold as like a payment to use powers. And then one has like, she's an atheist, but she has a bunch of pets that are gods, and she could ask them favors to do something, heal the party or whatever, but then she has to pay it back in whatever way they want. So she gets healed, and then she has to read her diary in front of all these people as like punishment. So they all have like their own thing, and then they're back in this world, like, why are we here? And we got to figure out how to get back. So it's pretty cool. It's
Awesome.
beautiful art, and it's really interesting.
Do you know if there's a complete thing? Is
I
it
don't
still
think
ongoing,
it's
or?
done. I don't think it's done.
Okay.
But I don't know. I know there's another volume, or there's at least 4 volumes, and that may be it. But there may be, well, here's a prequel story to whatever, and
Sure.
other spin-offs. But I want to say there's just 4 volumes of 5, so it's like 20 issues.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad. Yeah, I don't want to get into any comic books where it's still going. It's been going on for 20 years, something like that. So cool.
Yeah. So what else you got, Steve?
I finished season 1 of Schmigadoon on Apple TV Plus. My wife and I were looking for something to, just a 30-minute show here and there to kill time in between whatever. Because we usually do our hour-long dramas for Ted Lasso during dinner time, so we need to fill something. We usually try and find like a 30-minute comedy. So we're like, well, let's try Schmigadoon. I like musicals. But I haven't really heard much about the show, and I know it's got a season 2. I don't know if there's going to be season 3. I haven't done any research into it. But there's a lot of comedians on it that I like. And it turns out it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, it's essentially a couple played by Cecily Strong from SNL and Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele. They're in a relationship, and they're struggling, and they go to this, I guess, sort of couples retreat in the woods, and they're hiking. And within 5 minutes of the episode starting, you're in Schmigadoon. It takes no time to get there.
Is it just like you walk and you find it, or do they fall down a well or something?
So you get a quick how these two met and how they fell in love. Just a very quick, this is their story from 2 or 3 years ago, whatever, till now. And then they're walking through the woods, they're having an argument, and then they see a bridge, and it's like super foggy halfway across the bridge, which you're like, why would you walk
Yeah.
into that? It looks like it's coming out of the mist, you know.
Or like Silent Hill.
Or Silent Hill, yeah. They're like, well, let's go cross that bridge. Maybe that's the way back to. Cause
I don't remember crossing the bridge the first
they're
time.
kind of lost,
Mm.
and so they cross it, and of course they come through the fog, and it's this beautifully bright, overlit uh, backdrop that it like. My favorite part of the show is the set design because everything looks fake,
Mm-hmm.
much like you're on a stage, but it's also super beautiful and super detailed and just really well crafted.
Okay.
So kudos to the set department because everything looks really really great in this. And they get there, and everyone breaks out into song at random times. And Cecily Strong's character really likes it because she likes musicals and knows kind of the tropes of it. And of course, Keegan Michael Key. Keegan. I don't know. I always feel like I have to say his full name.
Yeah, I mean they're famous people. It's like
Yeah,
you don't know him. He's not Keegan.
I should remember their character names. But Keegan's character, he's, kind of a grumpy pan who's like, I hate musicals and I refuse to sing. And so he just refuses to play ball and really just wants to leave. And Martin Short shows up as a leprechaun for some reason. And it's just like, in order for you to escape Schmigadoon, you have to find true love. And so they're like, well, we love each other, so let's get out here. And they go to the bridge, and of course, they can't get back.
Is there like invisible wall or
no? They cross the bridge, and it's like they just turned around because they just see Schmigadoon.
Okay.
So he's like, "Oh, I guess we're not meant to be together.
Damn.
I'm gonna go meet every woman in town and hopefully cross the bridge with them." And he kind of tricks all these women, and it's kind of this weird thing where they're this world is kind of set between the 50s and the 80s.
Okay.
Like they still have sort of modern amenities, but they're kind of backwards thinking, and women don't have as much rights in this, and they're kind of let me
gather your thoughts.
yeah, my thoughts. Yeah, so they just have like weird. There's one episode where they have a interfaith festival, and it's just Presbyterian and Methodist.
Those are the two religions. So.
And they're so both of the main characters, they're doctors, and so all the people in Schmigadoon are just like, "What? A woman doctor? That's impossible!" Like, just so surprised by this concept. They're like, "Things sure are kooky over there in the big city of New York." So it's real fun, kind of fish out of water stuff. And both of them are kind of meeting other people in town and trying to fall in love with them. And will these two characters get back together or not?
So is that the whole thing? Like they come to Schmigadoon to find why they love each other in the first place, and only then they'll be able to leave.
More or less. It's only the first season's only 6 episodes, and so season 2. So it's real short. Within 3 hours, you've seen the entire first season. But all the musical numbers are great, well choreographed, a lot of fun, really clever. Alan Cummings plays the mayor of Schmigadoon, and he is. This isn't really a spoiler. You can kind of figure out by episode 2 that he's a closeted gay man. And,
Alan Cumming? No.
Yeah. But his wife gets a song where she's like, basically sings a song about how queer her husband is, but queer in like
in the strange way.
Yeah, he's like, he's so odd, he's different from everybody else. And she's singing this song, and it's cutting to like they're inside their house, and there's all these statues of like naked men wrestling, and just all this. And Cecily Strong's just like, oh, honey, you gotta figure this out by now, right? So it's just really funny.
So it's not like PG. I thought it was like a super sweet family good time.
It's not violent. It's not overly sexual, but they do curse. It's definitely for adults, and you sort of want to know the musical tropes. There's Cecily Strong gets one song where a girl is having a baby, but in Schmigadoon there's no sex education, and her mom's super conservative, and so she's like, hearing the word vagina is so scandalous, and so she's like, it's okay, it's just a medical term. And so she has to teach this grown woman who has had sex with a man who is pregnant how they had to how they had a baby essentially, because they've never heard of fallopian tubes or anything like that. So it's pretty clever, really fun, especially if you're a fan of musicals. And I know season two is more the musicals of the from the '80s to the 2000 or
It's
so.
like Chicago and
Yeah, it's called Schmigadoon,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
more of so instead of the upbeat, bright, sunny musical, this is like
Hmm.
sort of the more dark and grittier musicals
Okay.
of that time, and so you're gonna get a little something different in season two, I assume. But yeah, Schmigadoon, it's a ton of fun. Music really clever. Lots of fun comedians in it. Just a really good time that and it's surprisingly heartwarming. Really well acted. I really, really, it surprised me. It's really good.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I probably won't ever watch.
I know
And
you're not a fan of musicals.
I mean, but it's the type of musical I do like. It's a comedy.
Sure.
I like comedy musicals more, but if it's not Bob's Burgers, I really don't give a shit about musicals. So,
Fair enough. I would say watch the first episode.
nah, don't make me.
Okay.
I canceled my Apple just because there's nothing else on there. Okay. Let me tell you about a show I started on Apple. It's called Silo.
I have seen this trailer. Yep.
So it is 10,000 people live in this silo. It's 140 stories. Nobody knows who built it, why they built it. They just know that outside of the silo is poison, and if you go out, you will die. And if you like do anything fucked up, you have to go outside and clean the sensor. And it's just like the one camera they have out there that they broadcast on all the screens for everyone. And there's the
So
there
you can go clean the sensor and live.
no, you go out to
Oh,
clean
that's
it,
your
and then
death
you die.
sentence. Okay.
Yes. And if you and they say their ideals boil down really to one thing. If you ever say you want to go outside, you will be forced to go outside. You can't even joke around. If you said, I want to go outside, just kidding, they will grab you and force you outside. You don't fuck around because you don't go outside. It is poison and you'll die. And you can see people's bodies like on the screen out there that have
Hmm.
just been out there for years because what do you do? There's no animals to stop them, to eat them or anything. They just rot. They are in little spacesuits though.
Right.
Uh, so it is now 40 years or 140 years after the big rebellion. The rebels came and destroyed all the hard drives and all the literature. So we don't know what happened in the past. We don't know why they rebelled. We just know that our government stepped in, stopped them, and now we live life as we do. So you have your different levels, but it's not so much of we're the super rich level and we hate the people below. There is a little bit of that, like you work in mechanical, you're kind of gross. You know, we don't really associate with those types. But so it reminds me kind of a Lost, where you have the big mystery
Hmm.
going on. Who made the silo? Why? Why is outside poison? Is it really poison? What are they hiding? What, those sorts of things. And then you have the smaller mysteries within it when suddenly the sheriff decides to go out and clean the sensor, and then the mayor is poisoned. Now you have the new sheriff of the silo have to kind of figure out this thing. It's the first day on the job, and the mayor got poisoned. So you have the smaller mysteries to keep you interested in the character stuff, and then they'll slowly give you the answers until you get to the end of the season, reveal one of the big mysteries, and then keep you holding on for season two. It's one of those, but I'm into it. I really like the world. I really like these characters, and so pretty much David Oyelowo is the sheriff. His
Hmm.
wife is Rashida Jones. They want to have a kid. They put their name in the lottery to be able to have a kid for years, and they finally got selected. So they go in, remove her birth control thing, and they're allowed to have a kid. But you only have a 1 year window. And within that 1 year, they don't have a kid. So she's kind of heartbroken. She works in IT, and maybe pushes the buttons a little too much. She questions what happened in the past, and everyone's just like, this is going to cause duress of our citizens, so knock it off. So she meets up with this other computer guy who has an old hard drive that They've never seen anything like it, and they're able to open it up and see schematics and information about things, and they start learning more about what happened. So then Rashida Jones was talking with him and talking to someone like the kooky herbalist, hippie lady who also is a conspiracy theorist. After learning more about them, she starts believing the outside is fine and I'm going to go outside. And uh, so one of her things, they're like, what proof do you have? You have no proof that they are hiding anything. Like, well, you saw them take my birth control out, right? Then what's this? And she's holding it in her hand, like, because I took it out myself, and she has like a hole in her side and a bloody knife. And
Hmm.
like, they are lying to us. I'm an undesirable person to have a child. They don't want more potential rebels. And so they've just been lying to us. So what else are they lying to us about? So she volunteers to go outside and he's heartbroken. He's the sheriff. He has to do this
Hmm.
to her, and she's like, "Don't worry, it's going to be fine out there. You know, if I do this one thing, it means it's good. If I do this other thing, it means it's bad." And she goes out there and she does clean the sensor, which I think meant everything's fine, everything's normal, and then she dies. So then we have we flash forward, and that cop is now investigating the same thing his wife was investigating, and is met with what's her name from Mission Impossible,
Rebecca
Rebecca
Ferguson.
Ferguson, and she works in the mechanical. She's a mechanical genius. She keeps the silo going, and she shows him things that are super illegal. That computer guy, she got into a relationship with him, and he showed her like the initial digger machine that dug the silo that's below anything they've ever been, and it's mind blowing. We didn't know this was ever here, and there's all this water. They've never seen this much water in one place because the water is just what you get out of your tap. You would never be in a pool or anything. So after they kind of share some information, he goes on this hunt for what the answers are. So I'll leave it at that because I think I've kind of killed like the first episode for you,
Yeah.
but there's 4 episodes out now. They come out on Thursdays. I recommend it now that you have Apple back. If you want a weekly kind of mystery fun show with great sets, good actors, it's I highly recommend it. I got hooked within like the first
Do you
20
know how many
minutes.
episodes it's going to be total?
I don't, but it's Apple, so it's probably 8.
Oh,
They're
okay.
they're pretty good with their 8. It is based on a book series that has like 6 books and a couple of spin-offs of like what happened with the rebellion and everything. So,
So many books.
but I think they're smaller books, and I think
Sure.
maybe season 1 is gonna take up a couple of them.
Okay.
So I don't think they're huge
All right. All right.
tomes.
All right. Fair enough.
But yeah, highly recommend that. So the only thing I really have left is like I saw Hypnotic and I saw Fast X. So you got one more thing. You pick which one you want to hear about more. I could go maybe more. No, I don't care. Either one. Hypnotic is pretty stupid.
I feel like I want to breeze past Hypnotic, so why don't you go with Hypnotic first?
Oh,
I
you
mean,
want both of them? Because I was just gonna do one or the other since you only have one thing.
oh, and like save the other one for.
No, it's just I don't care. You know, like if I don't talk about Hypnotic, I don't care if I don't ever say anything about it. If I don't say Fast X, that's fine. We can save it for if you do see Fast X.
Okay, I guess we can save Fast X
Okay.
and at least until next week.
Okay, so I did see Fast X, but I'm not going to spoil it. I'll just give you brief my thoughts.
Okay.
Better than 8 and 9. Uh, bloated. Why does every character have to come back? It's so obnoxious. Let us have time to forget about him. But every movie in this series is, hey, remember this guy? And like, yeah, he's part of the cast. He's in all of them. Like, it's not a big deal when Jason Statham shows up.
Uh-huh.
And he shows up for 5 minutes to be like, all right, I'll see you in the sequel, and fucks off and doesn't do anything else for the movie. I will the boulder scene, the rolly thing that you see in the commercials. It's probably the best scene in the movie. It's pretty great, but I have to tell you about this one part that had me cackling. I love how Dom is like he's like Iron Man when he's in his car. He's indestructible and he can do anything. He becomes a superhero. And I think they really think that because he saves people, while he's driving. So they're going down the hill. There's a gas pump, and he sees that this flaming ball is going to hit the gas pump and it's going to create a huge fireball. Right across the way are people sitting at a cafe, and they're going to get hit with the fire.
I'm
So
already taking my glasses off because I'm already.
so as it rolls over, he
Okay.
ramps up to block the people as the fireball comes, and he saves all of them from getting engulfed in flames. He's like Spider-Man coming down and sweeping up people. It's ridiculous. But there's a lot of good stuff in that. Jason Momoa is really fun, but
Wait, so real quick. So from the trailer, because this isn't a spoiler,
yeah.
you see this ball
Mhm.
split a bus in half.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is Dom takes his car and nudges it out of the way when it doesn't do too much damage to his car. Wouldn't it just have
I mean, he
obliterated
tries,
his car?
but his car's indestructible. It gets dropped out of a plane, lands on two other cars, is still able to drive, and then takes down two helicopters, and then whips them around like it's a bolo or something. His car is indestructible. He becomes a god when he's in that. So it still has a lot of the same dumb things of by now, don't think about logic and physics and how
Sure.
they work. It's stupid.
They went to space last time.
Exactly, but it does have a just like, hey, I do like that they make a joke about how every bad guy they've ever faced becomes part of family, and they say family 56 times in this movie. That was on IMDb trivia. I didn't count. I thought about it, but I wasn't gonna. 56 times. It's ridiculous. I'm talking too much about this. We'll get to it if you ever see it. But I gave it a C plus. It's for if you like these things, you'll like this. It's fine. It's just like all the other ones, really. Um, but after that big rolly ball scene, none of the action is as good.
Uh-huh.
That one's really good, especially with like Letty on the motorcycle. She does some cool little things that I enjoy. But this is such a special effects heavy thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I think we talked about it on here, and you gave me a bunch of
Guff.
guff. Thank you, a bunch of guff for it because I thought the trailer actually looked pretty fun, and
Mm-hmm.
Letty doing that sort of cool little
Like hop over the
hop
thing.
over the
Yeah.
thing on the
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the kind of stuff I like to see.
Yeah.
I thought it looked fun, but pretty much everything I've heard of it is just, oh no, this is
Yeah. It's just as dumb as
not
any of
good.
the other one.
But yeah, it's just as bad as other stuff. Um, Real quick, side note to action movies and cool sequences. Did you see the newest Extraction 2 trailer?
No.
Oh,
Because I was just talking to Nick about this. I don't care about Extraction. It's a good action reel, but I don't give two shits about the story. So I'll watch it, and I know I'm going to watch it, but I don't need things spoiled for me. So I didn't bother with the trailer.
I don't think the trailer is spoilery. I do get a vibe of,
I mean, what do you spoil in just like, hey, we got a 25-minute one take?
yeah, it's just there's some fun action sequences that they
Mm-hmm.
put into the trailer. I was like, oh, that's a cool way to like knock a dude out.
Okay.
But I just don't watch it. Go in blind.
It'll probably be one of
But
our.
it was one of those trailers that was like, because I don't remember the story of the first Extraction. I know he had to get a kid. He had to get a kid out of a thing.
Yeah.
And this one, he's got to get, I think,
Two kids.
two kids or a family, yeah, whatever it is. But I remember watching Extraction, going, "Oh, that was way cooler than I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
This looks like it's going to be the same vein.
Okay.
I don't care about the. I think this movie is probably going to be not good,
Yeah.
but the action's going to be really fucking awesome.
Probably.
So that's what I want. I don't need it to be good.
We'll make it one of our main topics when it comes out, because it's actually something you can watch while you're at home and you don't have to leave your house, Steve.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on
I'm
it.
gonna just give you shit forever.
Yeah.
We should probably end on the Woman King, wouldn't you say?
Sure.
Okay. So let me talk about Hypnotic real quick.
Okay.
Hypnotic is someone really liked Inception and thought they were good enough to write Inception.
hmm
And I think the best way to compare it, which I know you haven't seen, but comparing Cell 1 with Jennifer Lopez and Vincent D'Onofrio
Okay.
and Cell 2, and how vastly different they are in acting, quality of effects, anything, is kind of Inception versus Hypnotic. It's so cheap. They do this sort of the bending of the city above you, but it looks like we're not going to spend any money on special effects. So do you have a fisheye lens that will just warp it in camera? We'll just do that. Good enough. That's a special effect. Ben Affleck is asleep the whole time. He's giving nothing in a performance. He is just there
You're talking about he's asleep in the movie or just asleep as an actor?
as an actor.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
He's here for the paycheck. He's like, oh, Robert Rodriguez wants me to do a movie. Okay, I guess I'll be in it. And it's all about people with special brains that can hypnotize you and make you do things and see things and forget things. And this movie is, here's the little twist. Bet you didn't see that. But there's a twist on this twist, and then a third twist on there. And then when we get to the finale, have a couple more twists. It's just constantly, oh, do you know who the good guy is? You don't, because it's not that one. It's this one. But is it? Maybe he was the good guy the whole time. Or is he the bad guy? And it just constantly does that. And like, no, you have to stop. Your wife wouldn't want this. You were my wife. Bim, bim, bim. It's just so hokey. And any sort of like, how can we fuck with their reality? And when it's about mind control and projection, you can do anything. We made this person believe that XYZ, and then, but that was a double bluff on top of that. And no, we had fail safes put in place because we knew you were doing the double bluff. So this is a reverse quadruple triple bluff. It's really fucking stupid. But it's competent enough. Like you can follow it. It's so twisty, but you still go, okay, I know what you did there. It's just kind of by the end of it, you go, okay, and why? Why did this have to be made? It wasn't saying anything, and I know Inception is just all dialogue and explaining what's going on, but at least it's interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so poorly shot, and it's bland. It's just grays and blues. It kind of reminded me of Paycheck. You remember that Ben Affleck movie, Paycheck, with Uma Thurman? Where he worked on a computer thing and then he had to have his mind erased in order to get payment. And then when he goes to get his payment, it's just a bunch of knickknacks. And he's like, why would I give up $20 billion for 6 knickknacks? And then it turns out he has to follow the clues of the knickknacks because the thing he worked on ends the world.
Oh, shit. I did watch Paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came out the same year as like Kill Bill. And I was like, oh, Uma Thurman has like 2 really weird.
Wow, I forgot about that movie. Okay, yes.
Michael Chal Hall is in it. He was the cop. I don't mind Paycheck.
I remember going like, this isn't bad.
It's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. It's fine. It's just Ben Affleck sucks. He's just not a very good actor in most things. Right. He's had his moments once in a while, but this is definitely his sleepy Dunkin' Donuts Ben Affleck. Do you see that he's doing ads for Dunkin' Donuts because of the meme? You know how like that meme of him, he was carrying Dunkin' Donuts and he dropped it and he looks exasperated and he's always coming out of his house holding like tons of fucking Dunkin' Donuts. And so now he's doing the ads for it and they're like, oh, you're that guy, you're Matt Damon. And he's just like, oh. They're kind of funny. I'm glad he's self-aware enough for it. But
he's really putting himself out there. He's done a lot of stuff lately.
He's like you've seen him in the Flash trailers where he's like, Barry, you can't go back and change the past. Like he just doesn't care anymore. That's this whole movie.
Maybe you should just go back to drinking.
You know what? Maybe.
That's the key.
Okay.
Anyway.
Final movie, I guess main topic, a one-sided main topic. I didn't watch The Woman King. I watched enough stuff over this weekend, and I wasn't going to try to cram in this movie right before I got over. But I hear it's a good time. So, Steve, tell us all about The Woman King.
All right. So, The Woman King, for those who don't know, is based on a real tribe of warrior women in Africa, and it's Viola Davis, if that's how you properly pronounce her name. If not, I apologize.
I'm pretty sure.
She is the general and leader of this army of women, and their goal is sort of eliminate this rival empire that wants to take them over and that wants to continue to work in the slave trade. And her character is kind of like, we can sell other things. We don't have to sell our own people anymore. Mm-hmm. And John Boyega plays the king of their nation, and he is looking for I don't remember the African word, but essentially a woman king to kind of rule beside him. Not a queen, because John Boyega has 10 wives in this, or 10 concubines or whatever they are. But he's just like, you're not a queen because that would just mean you're kind of like my secondary.
Yeah.
You're essentially co-leading this
Mm-hmm.
nation with me, and obviously this movie was getting a bunch of awards talk last year and kind of just faltered and didn't get much recognition at the Oscars, and there was people kind of going like,
A little
"Oh,
hubbub.
yeah, a little hubbub." And I see why it didn't reach the heights. There is a movie here. There is a version of this movie that is uh, very Oscar worthy. It's almost there.
Mm.
It's just missing a little something. Uh, but I actually fucking love this movie. I dug it. It's African Braveheart, and I mean that in the best way. Where I mean, Braveheart was an Oscar-winning Best Picture movie, but it's got the it's
Yeah, what do you mean by I mean that in the best way when you're comparing it to something
well, it's
amazing?
just I just come I just said here's this movie that isn't Oscar worthy, but I'm comparing it to the movie
Okay.
that won all the Oscars.
Okay, that's fair.
I just mean it has the exact same. I think if this movie came out when Braveheart came out, it would have been nominated for Best Picture, if not win it.
Probably.
But other movies just look too much like this to where I was like, I've kind of seen this movie before,
Okay.
even though this is a story I didn't know anything about. And I'm sure historically it's extremely inaccurate.
Yeah.
I don't know the context. I'm not a historian. I'm not going to get into that part. But Viola Davis, once again, great.
Kills it.
Totally badass. Totally believe that she can kick ass.
Yeah.
There's a storyline with this young girl who is kind of being her father is pushing like trying to sell her essentially to rich men in order to like get money for the family
As a wife or as a bodyguard?
as a wife because
Okay.
this is just a normal girl who
Okay.
lives in the nation
Okay.
and she's doesn't want to get married to all these dudes and so like fine I'm gonna give you to the king and the dad offers her up and she meets the essentially the Dora Milaje of the movie. They're called the I'm gonna butcher all these names.
Do it, just butcher it.
I'm gonna butcher all these names, so I'm not gonna.
Is there a click in there? Are you embarrassed to do the click?
No. So she essentially this young girl becomes a trainee, and that's sort of the first half of the movie is her learning about these women and becoming this warrior, and she becomes top of the class,
Of course.
and so then she becomes top of the class. She joins the army, and they have to go and fight these guys who kind of are threatening. It's like we're gonna come and take over your nation. And they're like, well, no, you're not, because we're gonna kick your butt, even though we're smaller. Yada yada yada. Hilarity ensues.
Of course. It always ensues.
And the young girl she meets, half. So they're from the nation of the Dahomey, or the Dahomey tribe, and he's half Dahomey. His mom was Dahomey, and his dad was white. So he's mixed, but he grew up in Portugal because the Portuguese are the ones kind of doing the slave trade here, and so he's riding that line in between cultures, and they have kind of a romance thing, even though she's not allowed to have sex or take a husband or give birth, have children. That's kind of we're warrior women, and we just our whole thing is to protect the king.
Okay.
But I want to give a huge shout out to her name is Lashana Lynch. She's kind of the mentor to the young girl in the story, and she's basically I'm the next in line. When Viola Davis becomes the woman king, I'll take her job, and she is this badass warrior, and she is fucking awesome in this movie. She's badass, she's charming, she's
Do I know her from anything?
you know her. I believe she's the woman who is the new 007 in the latest Bond movie. She's the one that kind of flirts with him, and you find out, oh, I'm one of those. Yeah, she's fantastic. The whole time I'm like, she should be in a Marvel movie. I believe her as a superhero. I want to see her in more stuff. She's a really great time in this, and so it's just great performance across the board. I don't know if I said it. John Boyega is really good in this movie too. He's only got a few scenes, but he plays a king very, very well. and he's got some really there's really good costume design in this as well. It's very and it sucks to compare everything to Black Panther just because that's sort of like the mainstream African culture, even though it's not a real African
Yep.
culture.
Yep.
Because this everyone is wearing kind of it's so bright and colorful in a lot of ways.
Sure. I mean, Black Panther did take inspiration from real African tribes. So.
Of course. But he wears these really bright colored robes and he's just like shirtless under him. He just looks so fucking cool.
Is my suggestion of him becoming Kang the Conqueror, is it an even better suggestion after seeing that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not as physically imposing as Jonathan Majors, but I've loved John Boyega ever since I saw Attack the Block. Like, that guy is great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a perfectly made movie all the way through in terms of performances, in terms of direction. And the action sequences are all really, really well done. You can probably give it a bunch of shit where like tactical wise it doesn't make sense or this thing's silly. And there is a lot of like flourishing of weapons that probably is unrealistic. They're holding spears and doing all these tricks around. But some of the ways that they're taking these dudes out is really, really cool. There's one part where two of the women are holding a spear and they have swords in their other hand. So they're kind of they're helping each other block attacks with the spear while like going behind and like coming under. And it's just a really interesting way to use a spear and they're pulling it back down and then just like double thrusting it. I don't know. There's some really awesome action sequences in this movie during these big battle sequences.
And are they mostly killing other tribes from other nations, or is it like the invading white people?
No, you do get some of the. There's an attack at the end where they're kind of taken to the white man, but it's mostly them fighting this rival African nation and sort of the other tribes that have teamed up with them. But you don't get those other tribes' names really. Okay. It's just the Oyo Empire is who they're going after. Okay. And there's some twisty stuff with the young girl, the love story with her and the mixed race guy. That's definitely the weakest point in the movie. It's something I felt like didn't really need to be in it. It was just kind of, we need something to kind of spice it up.
Sure.
The movie is like 2.5 hours long, and it does kind of. I do feel like if they just cut it if they could have made it in really tight 2 hours, it probably would have been a little bit better. But it's awesome. It really blew me away. I don't think it deserves to necessarily get back into the Oscar race, but in terms of a movie that's just a really good time and awesome and badass and really well made across the board in all aspects, it's great. I highly recommend it. I would love to see The Woman King 2, and maybe it wouldn't be as interesting, but all these women were fantastic and they were badass and I loved it. I want to see more of this kind of shit.
Cool. Yeah, I've been suggested it couple of times, and it's something I do want to see. It's just there's so many other things I want to see more. But The Woman King, when are we going to see the Man King for once?
Right?
It's about time.
When are we going to get our turn?
It's a little rude of Hollywood. So that's pretty much all we got. But I kind of remembered there was a bunch of trailers that came out. Okay. And maybe if you could remember some, we'll do these real quick. So you asked me to watch the trailer for The Creator. That looks fucking dope.
The Creator looks awesome.
Who does it? Who's the director?
Gareth
Edwards,
yeah.
Godzilla guy and Rogue One. Yeah. I have faith. He's a good director. He doesn't make great movies, but he has a good eye.
Yeah, I think the only thing that has me worried is that I think visually it's going to be great. But I could see this movie story being kind of lackluster and just kind of like, I mean, John David Washington, I think, does good movies, but I don't.
But he's a boring actor. He's boring.
Yeah. It's like, your dad's Denzel, man.
I know. Fucking cheese it up a little. Okay, so what about Meg 2?
I'm surprised I watched this trailer, considering I never watched the first Meg.
Because it's trash. It's bad.
Yeah.
Even for that type of movie, it's pretty bad.
And this looks pretty absurd.
Real dumb.
Yep.
I love it.
I'm sure
Jason
you do.
Statham pushing his legs up against like the mouth of the Meg.
Oh my
It's
god.
it's so funny.
Honestly, I think that's the only reason I clicked on the trailer.
Yeah.
It was just that thumbnail. I was like, all right, I gotta see
I
how
would
this
love if
plays
he
out.
like kicked out one of the in one of the teeth, and it swallows it, and he swallows it. Then he uses the tooth to like cut his way out of the Meg. I don't care what happens. We get to see the Meg eat a T Rex. That's pretty great. So I'm excited for that. Oppenheimer had a new trailer. I am less and less interested in that movie the more I see.
Yeah,
And I know it will be good, and I think it will be a lot like um,
Dunkirk.
no. Oh, please no. But yes, it probably will. But the fucking Russian nuclear show. And the plant melted down. What the fuck is that called?
Chernobyl?
Chernobyl. Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
I think it'll be like that where just explaining the science can be really interesting, but I don't know if I'll care about the interpersonal lives, and I know it'll be a lot of that. Like, you moved my family out here, and we've been here for so long, and yada yada yada. I don't care about any of that.
Yeah, my uh, theory is that it's going to be, or my prediction is, there's going to be great performances across the board, but there's not going to be any of the real standout scenes because they'll be building, and there's going to be one like 15-minute sequence of them doing the testing where it's all because he does tension very well.
Yeah.
I think leading up to the explosion is going to be incredible, but that's going to be 15 minutes of a 3-hour movie.
You think the build up to the
I
Oh, you're not saying the first 15 minutes. You're just
No, no,
saying
no, no.
15 minutes.
I'm just saying
the
that
entire. Okay.
I'm going to assume 15
Yeah.
minute chunk of this movie is going to be like really, really incredible.
Mhm.
Like, oh shit, like you know it's going to explode. You
Yeah.
know what happens,
Yeah.
but you're going to be like, whoa, just wrapped up in the moment. But the other 2 hours of this movie is going to be okay. This is interesting, I guess.
Yeah. You say acting's going to be good across the board, and I'm going to say no because Matt Damon seems so out of place in this movie. He looks anachronistic. Like that face doesn't belong in this time period, and his acting style isn't believable. He stands out like a sore thumb. Everybody else seemed really good, but him screaming about something, it was embarrassing.
Well, I mean, maybe that's just because it's Matt Damon playing the third lead in the movie as opposed to the lead because he's Matt Damon. He's always like the guy.
No, this seems like a role for him where he shows up for a scene and then leaves, like an Inglorious Bastards, Mike Myers sort of thing.
Mhm.
He shows up, he says his lines, you go, "Oh, that was Matt Damon. That was cool." Like how he showed up in Interstellar.
Sure.
He was there and then he was gone. But as a more important character, I mean, he has multiple lines in just the trailer, so I
Sure.
would assume he's like the second, third, or fourth lead of this. But he just doesn't come off very convincing. I like Matt Damon, but
We'll see.
We'll see. I got two more.
Okay.
One, we didn't really know much about when we first heard about it, but the Gran Turismo trailer. Did you watch that?
I did watch that.
So, more interesting than I expected, that it's based off of a real thing. It's a real kind of sports biopic sort of movie, whereas you see how someone is able to get a chance to do a thing and then prove them all wrong, and he's the best. And it's so strange that they actually got Gran Turismo players to actually race cars. Like this is a real thing that happened. That's so bizarre. And to make a movie off that and then just call it Gran Turismo, so you get kind of your movie
brand
version of the
recognition.
video game, and you get to tell a true story. Very smart. Weird that it's Neil Blomkamp. I don't see his look within this, but I'm not racing to theaters to see it.
Jesus.
But
Boo. Boo.
you would have made the same joke if you thought of it.
Yeah, but I would have made it funny.
Yeah, I'm not super interested because I never liked the game and I don't really care about racing, but I like what they've done with it.
Yeah, I just wish Neil would have done anything else.
Yeah.
Not that I'm, a hardcore Neil Blomkamp fan because
Not everything
Chappie
is.
was all
Mhm.
that great, but
Yeah.
Chappie
It has its moments. It has amazing
Elysium,
effects.
from what I remember, might have had its
It
moments.
has its moments. Good effects as well. But
District 9.
give us our District 10.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about anything else you're doing except for this. I guess you were maybe going to do Halo at one point. Like, do something that's a little more genre based.
Yeah, if you told me he directed The Creator, that would
Yeah.
make total sense. I'm like,
Absolutely.
I believe it. that I can see that being his movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's the Rogue One guy. Oh,
Okay.
okay, I guess that makes sense too.
Last one.
Last one.
Did you see the teaser trailer for the? I think it's Paramount Plus or maybe Peacock. One of the P streamers. Um,
P streamers. All right, I'll give you that one.
Twisted Metal, the TV show. Did you watch this
I know it exists. I
with
can't-
Anthony Mackie? And he's jamming in the car to a song that does not belong there. I think you should watch it right now.
Yeah, okay.
Your phone's up here.
Because probably once, maybe I started the trailer and just didn't finish it.
So I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of Twisted Metal. 2, 3, 4, Black. Those were my games. I liked playing as Augur. I liked the slow characters. It was just a fun game that was slightly violent. It wasn't super bad, but they had really fun characters and really fun backstories and twist endings. Because that was the whole thing with Twisted Metal. There's a character that says, I want to be the ruler of hell. And I think his name's Calypso. Like, sure, no problem. And sends you to Hell, Montana. Ha 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 ha. Isn't that funny? So there's always a twist. Most of the time, whatever wish you make, it fucks you over. But this is not it.
All right. Well, it's on. Here we go.
Make sure the volume's up.
It's Peacock, by the way.
Peacock.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Okay, I do remember saying.
Why the fuck this song? Twisted Metal is like Rob Zombie. It's fucking metal music. But Lem, Steal My Sunshine? No. It's like, okay, Sweet Tooth is in it. That's good. That's expected. But that is the weirdest song choice for a teaser. That does not give you the tone at all.
Yeah, I get the concept of here's this heavy, dark, violent thing. Let's put a fun sunshine song on there. But that wasn't the right choice of song.
Yeah. Weird. Anything that you've seen recently that you want to talk about? I haven't been seeing any like good trailers before movies. I know I come in late, so I may miss one or two, but I think you do need to go see The Blackening, as that was the movie you picked at our end of the year. What is this? Looking forward.
There is one trailer that I don't think we talked about last week because I don't know if it came out last week. I don't think it did. The new Martin Scorsese movie.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
I don't think the trailer will do much for you. It obviously looks lovely.
Isn't it like 4 hours or something?
I believe it's 3 hours and 26 minutes last time I checked.
I thought this guy was like this auteur who really knew how to craft a movie. Like, does everything have to be this fucking long to get your story out? My God.
Well, I'm sure part of it is the television.
Because it's a
uprising.
Netflix thing, right?
No, it's I think it's an Apple.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I think it's an Apple film. The television of it all, where it's, well, television's so popular because you get more time with characters.
Sure.
And if we make it longer, we get more time with characters and you get more reason to care, that kind of thing. And two, it's based on a book. Maybe it takes the whole time to tell that story.
Sure.
Or maybe it's just Scorsese just likes really long stuff. But it looks like how I would imagine if There Will Be Blood met Silence.
Oh.
Because it looks like it's around that time period of There Will Be Blood and has that sort of like look and vibe, but also I could see it having the boringness of Silence.
Okay.
But also the investigationness of that's the word, investigationness of Shutter Island.
Okay.
So it's a mix of those three properties, I would think. Two Scorsese movies, it being a Scorsese movie.
Okay.
and then with the setting of There Will Be Blood because it's kind of old west
Yeah.
looking.
I for some reason I thought of what's that fucking movie? Oh, it was like an Australian movie, White Bird. Oh, I'm not going to even be able to. She goes on this journey with an indigenous Australian person, and it's back in like 1880s, and they like kill her baby, and she goes out for revenge. Fuck, I can't remember what it was called. But also, you know that Christian Bale movie that came out on Netflix about Edgar Allan Poe or something?
The Pale Blue Eye,
Yeah.
the one I watched and talked to you about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm getting vibes of that, of just
No.
it's going to be this slow, boring period piece that I do not give a shit about.
So on Reddit today, there was a post saying early reviews are out of it, and obviously early reviews don't really mean much because they want to put out the best reviews. But pretty much across the board, they were like, "This is Leo's best performance. Scorsese's fucking killing because he always does." Yada, yada, yada.
Well, if it's coming to streaming, then maybe I'll watch it. I didn't watch Irishman just because of how long it was.
I did watch The Irishman. I did not care for it all that much. Mainly because it was so long, and I don't remember really what happens. But still, super well made. Scorsese doesn't make bad stuff. He just he could make boring stuff.
Yeah.
Because Silence, beautiful film, boring as fuck.
Boring, bad, don't like it. So next week, maybe Guardians 3.
Maybe Guardians 3, maybe Fast X, maybe Fool's Paradise. I don't even know if that's still in the theater.
There are show that's like a 12-10 show for this week, and that's it. I was gonna see that today, but I was like, you know what? I want to see Hypnotic more, and then I regretted it. But I hear
Fool's Paradise
is not very good, and it's funny because I just listened to the Sunny episode where they're all just jerking each other off over each other's movies. And I wonder what that's like to just be friends with people in Hollywood. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to talk shit on them.
Yeah.
But no, you're like, dude, this isn't your work. I know you're directing, you wrote it, but this ain't good.
Or maybe it's a rose-colored glasses kind of thing where because you're my friend and I know how hard you work and I know the process of making movies, that go like, oh, this is good. It's just no one's going to kind of recognize that except for people like us. Or whatever.
Could be.
Because I listen to, not that this is necessarily relevant, but I guess it kind of is. I listen to Dax Shepard's podcast where he talks to celebrities, and it just seems like he's just jerking every guest he has come on. She's like, oh, it's so funny, or it's so good, or it blew my mind. I can't wait for other people to see it. And it's just like, dude, you can't like everything. All this stuff, right? Like, so there has to be whatever movie that they're pitching right now, I know it's going to be garbage, and you have to know it's garbage too. And I know part of that, they're nice enough guests to come on your show. You want to like hype them up. They're there to promote a thing, you know. But at the same time, part of you's like, I can't fucking lie to these. Like myself here.
It's got to be hard to be like a Jay Leno or a David Letterman. Like every week you have, or every night you have someone new come on promoting their stuff, and a lot of times you have to go like, oh yeah, it looks great, even though you know this is a piece of shit.
Well, I listen to Conan O'Brien's podcast too, and
Wait, O'Brien? I wasn't sure which Conan you were talking about.
Not Conan the Barbarian. His podcast.
No, that's Conan. This is Conan. They're different.
Got it. Anyway, he talked about you can tell when he at least hasn't seen a thing because he might, if he's seen it and he likes it, he'll tell the guest, I've seen it and I liked it. But if he hasn't seen it, then he'll go, a lot of people are talking about this. And so he's like,
I haven't seen it yet.
So he won't say he disliked it, but he'll go, a lot of other people are talking about
That's
it.
funny.
And so I love Conan O'Brien.
So yeah, hopefully you can see Guardians 3. I think I'm almost kind of over it now. Like I don't have to really say much, even though I have a huge list of notes I want to talk about.
Just keep. We'll get to it.
Also, Little Mermaid comes out next week. There's like 5 things that come out. It's a whole bunch of garbage. And
what's blowing my mind, I hear Little Mermaid's actually pretty good.
I've heard the same thing. Like,
which is absurd from that trailer.
Yeah, good. I hear good performance, especially great singing voice. But the underwater stuff's a little weird, and which is weird.
We just got Avatar.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Just spend the billions of dollars and make it look like that.
Why didn't James Cameron direct The Little Mermaid?
Yeah. I mean, it's all owned by Disney now, so...
He could have shot those, simultaneously.
And I hope Aquaman looks even worse than Little Mermaid does. So we could just have this degradation of underwater effects. Like, nope, we nailed it. You're not going to get better. It's only going to look worse.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a couple of other things out next week. But yeah, probably Little Mermaid's the big one.
All right. Well,
I'll tell you all about it since I know you
you,
won't.
you come over and babysit my child,
Okay.
and then I will watch 5 movies in one. I'll go at the very first show and won't leave until the very last show.
You want me to watch your kid all day long?
Well, I mean, my wife will watch him. You just need to be there so she doesn't go crazy.
Oh, okay. So if she needs to be driven to the hospital, I'll be here. But she'll change him and feed him and all
Yeah,
that.
she'll do all that, but it's like, if she needs to go to the bathroom, you just kind of hold the kid or something.
She can't hold the kid. You're sitting down in the bathroom. She can't use both of her arms, or at least one of them.
Or like, she needs to take a
That's
nap.
why the
You just wake her up if the kid is
Sinks are
bleeding.
built that way so you can fit a child in there while you're going to the bathroom. That's their little bassinets.
See, you'd be such a great dad.
Great dad. Yeah, I was gonna say, why do I have to be there? She's doing all the work. I'll just go see the movies with you, Steve. How about that? Your
Yeah.
wife watches the kid. We'll
But see,
spend.
if I go and don't take her, I'm selfish. But if I go and someone's here, then I'm not leaving her alone.
okay.
That's the thing,
No, I don't like that deal at all. Really.
Fine, Ben, be a selfish friend.
You have 3 sisters?
Yeah, but they're not my best friend, Ben. They have other children. You have no children.
Their children are grown-ish, right? Or at least can go to the movies.
Yeah,
more or less about that.
Well, that's where all of them
All right.
go to the movies, yeah.
All right, Steve, I'll think about it. So next week, something or nothing. Maybe this becomes every other week. Who knows what your schedule's going to be like? So new point of order for the podcast. We rolled an 18. Was this an 18 out of 40 podcast?
I thought I wrote a 16 and you wrote a 1. Wouldn't that be 17?
Oh shit! Yeah, you wrote a 6. I thought you rolled a 17.
No, 16.
Okay, well I'll listen back.
You said 18 earlier, and I didn't want to correct you.
Yeah, no,
So-
you're right. I thought you said. I thought I saw 17, but okay.
Was it a 17?
Was it a 17? I think it's more of a 17 than an 18.
Yeah. I'd say this is more of a, I'm going to say 12, 13 range. Only because we didn't have a main topic that you and I
Yeah.
could both either like really rip into or
Yeah.
both go like, oh, I loved it.
No news
'Cause-
at the top, and there's...
Everything I watched, you haven't seen. Everything you watched, I haven't seen. So we were just describing movies movies and TV back and forth.
Does
to each
anybody
other.
like listening to us just describe things back and forth to each other? Because we don't know the nuance and all the themes. We know what we saw. And does anyone like listening to that? Oh, God.
We do.
I'm self-doubting myself again.
Don't-
Everyone loves it. This is the best podcast in the world. Doesn't care. It doesn't matter if there's like echoey weird sounds or anything like that. Okay, so next week, yeah, something or nothing. Who knows? We'll get back to you at some point.
Maybe we'll just do a blood sacrifice on the podcast.
Yeah?
Just go real weird with it. Or
We're sacrificing for what? What do we get out of it?
to whatever God we want to.
Yeah, but what do we get out of it? We
The God's love.
Oh. Okay, well.
Or maybe we can summon Cthulhu or something.
No. He's a fucking dick. He's gonna just destroy everything. You gotta summon a god that's not gonna do like complete world damage. Has to be a lesser god. All right, we'll do god research next week.
Got it.
What gods we are gonna sacrifice someone, not your child, someone
Yeah.
to. As always, I'm Ben,
And I'm Steve.
and keep consuming.
Going behind and like coming under, and it's just a really interesting way to use it. And they're pulling it back down and then just like double thrusting it.